Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Happy to Hump Day. It's Wednesday. Welcome back for you Europas who are involved in the long holiday weekend or whatever was going on between Cinco de Mayo and May Day and anything and everything else. Welcome back. Let's see what we got going on here this morning. The dollar's been a little firm over the last couple days. Let's see what we got. See, we have everything lined up in here. Let's go like that. Let's see. That moves over like so. Bring it down a little bit. There we go. And there is the fact check spreadsheet popping up on the left side there. Good, goody. And then what do we have? Hold on 1 second. Something seems a little odd here. Hold on. Okie doke, we're back. And so you can see here the Swiss. Oop, you can't see the Swiss. Let's see if we can make it so you can see the Swiss. Swiss right there, showing the little strength that we've been seeing for the last couple of days. And let's see how it looks on our Chicago quant. Where are you, Chicago quant? There you are. There it goes. And you can see same thing, except for today it made a new high, but then it's doing its I wouldn't call it a rollover yet, but you can see with the daily line trying to turn down, we're still in a weekly sell, and this thing has not made any real strong move on the upside. It's saying to me that there's more pressure than there is on the downside than there is anything else. I think that's what it really comes down to. Let's see now. Let's jump over to the chat line and see if anybody is there. Haven't even looked there yet. There we go. And let's turn that on. Nope, nobody's there. Okay, that's fine. No worries, mates. All right, so that's what we're really seeing here with the dollar. The dollar's been like that. It's been all week long. It's been trying to perk its head up. It's been trying to find ways to be positive. It just is what it is. That's the bond market in the States seems to be relatively flush, or flat, let's say. Mrs. Yellen, for those that were on holiday, yesterday came out and made a bold statement about raising rates. Put a little shake-up into the tech stocks, because they borrow a lot of capital. So that really hurt the NASDAQ 100, or as we call it, the Tech 100 at Dukascopy. And so that was the shake-up of the day. Now, in the end, the Dow Jones Industrial Average found a way to close in the plus, whereas the NASDAQ 100 was down about 3%, something like that, 3.5%. It was kind of interesting. Was it 3%? No, I'm sorry, not. It was down 300 and some odd points on a 13,000, almost a 14,000 index. That's not 3%. So, it's close. Yeah, it's very close. It was like 2.75%, something like that. So you can see right here with the Swiss against the dollar, the firmness we've been seeing. And when we jump over to the bonds sold off by the end of the day. Right here, there's the 30-year. You can see the pressure on it. We had gotten to like 159. I'm sorry, this is the 30-year, so we got down to 2.29 yield. Today we're hanging around a 2.30 yield. Nothing major there. One of the only countries, I guess there's other countries that are yielding something out there. Let's put it that way. But at this point in time, the bond, the interest rate market here in the States is firm, consistent. A little nervous, I guess you could say. It's a combination of all of it at the moment. And Mrs. Yellen walked back her statement. I'll tell you, as Fed chair, you can get away with saying things, and because you're not supposed to say anything at all as a Fed chair. So just the fact that you would say good morning makes people happy. But when you're the Secretary of Treasurer, it's a whole different game. People pay attention to what you say. And they expect you to not only say good morning, They expect you to ask how was your evening and did you sleep well, and they expect you to they expect long answers and consistent opinions and ideas. So Mrs. Yellen, going from Fed chair to Secretary of Treasurer, is finding out that that's not the easiest thing to do. So, and I imagine that the moment she said it, she probably was informing the market that they were going to walk it back anyway. All right, let's drift over as I sip my tea. Let's drift over to the euro. The euro is one of the only ones last I noticed was in a sell still. The others are fighting to get into buys. You can see here the euro is pressing down right there. Let's see, let's check it out on J4X. Also, we had the ADP numbers come out this morning. They were a little shy of the estimated. I think 746 was the actual, and the estimated was 800,000. Mr. Biden's policies are going to slow that thing down no matter how you cut it. Let's see where we're going. Going to the dollar euro here. There it is right there. It's right around here. There we go. And you can see here pressure is on that. And let's see what the our two indicators are doing here. You see it's drifting south, right here, with those red bars. And the same thing up in here. You can see we have red dots, and it's heading south still. So they're all feeling the same pain. Now, this is the curious thing, as you can see our let's see if we can tighten that up a little bit, but our daily quant is trying to perk itself up a little bit. You see it's bottomed, and it's a higher low than that one way back there. We'll see what they do with that, since this was a lower low and a lower low and a lower low. But an overall trend right here, since the weekly buy, is making a higher low. So we'll see if they finally come back in, start buying the euro again. And then we go to cable. Cable's already jumped over the line there. You can see it right there. And it's got a little volatility thing going on at the moment. We'll see if that cleans up by the end of the day. Let's give it a refresh. Let's give it a refresh, like so. And then go over and look at it in the J4X. Right there. And let's see, the red bar should be gone. Let's see what we got here. Frantic City. No, I don't know about Frantic City. There we are. Frantic City. There you are. And so that's the action we're seeing in the British pound or the cable. We did end up in that weekly buy 2 weeks ago, so we're, you know how we feel around here. Once we're in a weekly buy, we always keep on thinking this thing wants to go higher, not lower. And that's surely what we're seeing at the moment. All right. And let's see it again here. You can see it also has made it through the line there, which is a very positive thing. Matter of fact, it looks like we've got a green there from yesterday too, which is interesting. And we got a green today. So it's really battling its way up. Now, what is that? Actually, they left me a voice message. A congressional candidate made friends with me yesterday on Facebook. And my answer to him, let's see what this is.
Hi, I'm from Assurance and following up with your national payment.
No, that's not it. So, he was from Atlantic City. And our former congressman is living down there too. Alright, anyway, that is the British pound, and we do think that we're going to see more strength in it. And you can see here on the J4X that it is lifting up. Not much more to be said about the cable, which is kind of interesting in its actions. When we take a look at a longer view of it, let's do that. Let's take a look at a longer view on J4X. I always like the longer views on there. And there's the weekly. You see, the overall battle in this product has been the upside. In other words, it keeps on finding ways to go up. You can see here going way, back here in, what is that, December. You see, we are definitely higher, even with corrections like this. We are still higher. This product wants to go up. There's hunger to get up in there, and now that they're part of the Commonwealth, that lecture that I always give about the fact that now they have 2 billion, not million, customers, because now they're able to be back in the Commonwealth after leaving the European Union. we know that the European Union is not going to subtract themselves 100% from England. We know that they will still be there because it's location, location, location. I mean, they're literally physically bordering the European Union in Northern Ireland. They are just miles away, and they have a train system connected to Europe. You know that they're going to find buyers are going to come to England. England's going to go to Europe and buy. I mean, it is there. To pretend that Brexit was a disaster or dangerous for the the United Kingdom is ridiculous. That's why we've been bullish on this product from day one, thinking that every major sell-off was only a buying opportunity, and when they pushed it down into the was it the teens or 20s or something like that, 23, 24, we knew that was just a buying opportunity, nothing more than that. And we talked about that here. Matter of fact, one day I think we got so rampageously crazy because our math was turning up. The next 2 days, the product moved 8 handles. So, I mean, I was just voicing the obvious, and it seemed like the world markets picked up on that obvious and took off. Now, do I really give myself credit for lifting the market? Not necessarily. Just pointing out the fact that it was way oversold and it was just unrealistic. And sure enough, it exploded on the upside. Something we miss in the mainstream financial media is having honesty. We really miss that stuff. Okay, let's go back to the daily and let's find, we go to the Turkish Lira at this point. President Erdogan, it's rare to see stories here in the States about President Erdogan, but there have been stories every day. Between the $128 billion missing to the banners to the today's story was the military situation. How did Erdogan get on the opposite side of Russia and the United States? That was the headline. I mean, the poor guy cannot. I don't know. He can't do any right anymore. It seems like it's just currency's gone from 1.5 since he's gained power in that country to 8.5. Let's put it up on the board here so you can see it. We saw the, let's see, where's it at? Right, I know I just saw it. Turkish Lira, dollar Turkish Lira. Where are you? TRY. Where are you hiding? There it is, right underneath the ruble. And you can see here it was pushing up again into the 30s. And it's still holding on pretty well. Let's take a look at it on JForex because I have that cute little dot that we keep on looking for right there. Keep on expecting to find this product climb up to that to compensate for the loss here. The weekly is turning up here on the weekly, and it's making a challenge, and you can see the manifold has started to widen here, and you can see the trend has shifted at the same time. Now we are starting to watch the Euro Turkish Lira. Right there, and you can see it is flirting with the weekly buy. I mean, right now, is that a plus? That's a minus still. Just by the hair of its chinny chin, we're going to refresh it, but it's still a minus by, I mean, just a shave. Right there. You can see plot 1 is minus 0.0005. And plot 4 is minus 0.008. So you can see the pressures on both of those. And you can see right here, the white line has been through for the last couple of days on the euro now. And just like we are in the dollar one, same situation. In fact, let's widen that a little bit more and show you what's going on. There we are. Same situation. Now it'll be very interesting to see if this thing finds a way to get into the weekly buy by the end of the week, or the Euro Turkish Lira has even more of a look like it's going to try to climb into the weekly buy. Wow. All right. Let's see where we at. From there we jump over to Canadian. And there it is right there. You can see we went into a buy yesterday, and now we're flirting with the sell again. And right there. Let's see what it looks like on J4X. Right there. Excellent. Lots of red. Definitely lots of red. And it just finds ways to go down. That means there's strength in the dollar, which we would assume we were seeing strength in the oil market. And then let's jump over to NASCAD, or the Loonie trade, right there. And this is reaching up, and that's usually signs of, again, strength in the oil market. Now let's put it on the Chicago Quant chart. Right there, there it is. And you can see it's breaking through the line there. Right there, we're breaking through it. We're, as you can see, right, we get it, there it is. It is a plus. It is 0.000010. It's trying to battle its way into a plus. And same thing with number 4. Number 4 is plus 40. Is that right? No, plus 73. So it's 0.000067. Now 107. Look at that, jumping even more. We measure things on such a minute level that it is a flip out. It is truly a flip out. All right. So there you are. You're seeing the strength in both of these products. So we should look at it. We're playing with the weekly sell too. What is that? Line 24. Line 24. We've been 2 weeks in a weekly buy. Actually, we're 3 weeks in a weekly buy. Why does it say 2? Oh, no, it's right there. It says 3 weeks in a weekly buy, but 9 days in a daily sell, and this thing is trying to lift up as we speak. And now we'll jump over to, where's it at? Let's find the crude oil contract. We'll look at the energies from these two pairs trades. You can see there, oil again lifting more today. Let's give it a refresh. And you can see on the fact check spreadsheet, that's the second week in a weekly buy, heading into a third now. And we are 2 full days in a daily buy from this bottom in here. And it's lifting up. So it's winner, winner, chicken dinner for you hard delta traders. Over in the natural gas, it is still, I thought we were in the buy from here, but all right. So I thought we got a red dot in there now. Okay, interesting. All right, and you can see the strength in that, and we are in a weekly buy for 3 full weeks, going on a 4th, and they are doing the challenge to the $3 area, which is fascinating in its own right. And then we take a quick look at the where's it at? Right. Actually, we can do nat gas on J4X too. Let's do that. And we can take a look at that on the crude oil, just to see the action, how well they line up with our math. Right there. Oh, there's Daniel. Hey, Daniel. Quiet day. It is. 5 watching, but they don't talk much. Either did well. Let's see. I see Turkish Lira bullish. Yes. Dollar CAD continued falling. Likely to see that 121 eventually. Yeah, I hear you there. The NASCAD likely bullish. Yep, exactly. Palladium touched 3,000. I'll tell you, it's sitting in that neighborhood, isn't it? Let's take a look at that. There's the crude oil. You can see that on the J4X. But let's take a look at the Palladium. Yeah, the Palladium is, there it is right there. Yeah, the Palladium has been flirting. Look at that. For the last 4 days, it's been playing with the 300 area, or 3,000 area. Keeps on playing with it. And it looks like it's trying to battle its way there again. You're right about that. You know, it's in a really odd situation. It's been in a daily sell since, where is it? We're in weekly buy, so you can't take the shorts. So it goes into a sell off of this one right here. Let's fill that in. We don't really watch it that closely. Oop, wrong place to put it. Let's remove that. And so it goes into that daily sell. Where's it at? Right there. They don't seem to have a lot of passion for this product at the moment. I'm not sure why. And then it flips itself into, well, it still stays in that cell from the 290 area. And you can see it's gone up to almost 3, so it's, gone $100 in the other direction. But you can't take the short from this daily sell. You just have to stand it aside because of the, it's in a weekly buy now for, how long has it been a weekly buy? Since March, since the 2600 area, we've been in a weekly buy. So it's gone $400 up since it went into the weekly buy. And you can see here, it doesn't seem to have any love, that's for sure. Look at that. They don't seem to want to lift it into the buy. They keep on holding it down. I don't know what that means. I generally think what that means is that if they don't get into a buy soon, they're just going to pop it into a sell, and it'll come back. What it normally does, this is how that usually works with our math. If they can't get this thing into a weekly buy, they're going to find a way to bring it back down to the 2,900 area. That's what they'll do. They'll bring it down to that, and then they get into a daily buy, and then they take it up again, and then that time it has the juice to get going. That's usually the way it works. Let's see. Oh yeah, Ethereum. How about that? Yeah, they were talking about that a lot more yesterday. They've been talking about it all week. Let's see. Ethereum that touched the 3,500 yesterday. That dog coin has got everybody excited too. We'll make the Bitcoin. I say yesterday. Bitcoin, gold, silver, crude, stocks, bulls, all jealous. I saw somebody speaking about this. I don't know, what was it, yesterday or the day before? It was really some strange stuff. The Federal Reserve wants to do a cryptocurrency just the same way that the Chinese want to do it, except for they're not going to back it with the gold. And it will have an expiration. It'll expire. It's like, what are these people at the Federal Reserve thinking? What level of don't they understand that people don't want the Federal Reserve more than just, unless you're a major bank who gets handed $500 million every night. Why don't they do that to everybody? I would love them to knock on my door and say, yeah, here's $50 million. You can trade it overnight for free. Why don't they just allow everybody to do that? They let Goldman Sachs do it. They give it to, J.P. Morgan. They give it to Citibank. Is that like a way of telling us how bad our banking system is? Really, what kind of paranoia is that? How bad is our banking system if they keep on lending billions of dollars overnight for free to the institutions? Makes you doubt them even more. Why would you want to buy the cryptocurrency from that central bank to begin with then? Really, Ethereum reaching 4,000 is possible. Oh, well, yeah. I think I would go with the larger number that you came up with, likely 10,000 at least. I don't know about the end of the year, but one thing is for sure, it's going higher. That's for sure. And will it see 10,000 one day? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure of that. I have no doubt about that. Just because of, when you ever see these TV commercials where someone says, if you bought gold, I got paid X amount of dollars in 1977. And I thought to myself, if I buy gold with this instead of putting this money in the bank, how much more money would I have? You hear that story all the time. And you know what? Here's an interesting one. Is if you bought the S&P 500, you'd have basically the same return as you would have on gold. In other words, the stocks have to move up with inflation. And so, it's funny. The dollar, I don't, maybe people interpret what currencies are anymore. In other words, there was a time where currencies had such a different position. Currencies were everything. They watched interest rates, they were affected by interest rates. They watched inflation, they were affected by inflation. They watched government policies, they were affected by good or bad government policies. At one time, the currencies were really the cat's meow. They really were. They were, if the British pound was going down 40 years ago, it was because of bad economic policies. And if it was roaring up, it was because of good economic policies and less inflation and more growth, future growth, and just the way you extrapolate that you might see a product at 4,000 or 10,000 in 9 months, that type of thing. It was the same exact way. Now currencies are barely respected, compared to what they used to be. And what's scary about that is they're still the second best product out there trading. In other words, I'd rather trade a currency than I trade a stock. So, and it has the second largest volume in the world, the currency. So it shows how bad we've gotten economically, And so why wouldn't these cryptos keep on climbing even more when every day the central banks are trying to convince us with an incredibly heavy hand that there are problems? I mean, who goes and lends hundreds of billions of dollars overnight for free? Who goes out and buys 18 trillion worth of bonds that have no yield, and most of it you have to pay a yield to the central bank to own it? I mean, they're screaming at us about it's like what was it, Chris Cornell, the musician who passed on. It's like, he has a song out there about screaming at the top of his lungs or something like that. And they're screaming at us every day. And now they come up with, I want to call it a bozo idea. I said it about the Chinese, the People's Bank of China. How their crypto is going to be backed by gold, allegedly. We know it's not going to happen, and it's going to have a time frame, where it could, they can add time to it electronically or subtract time from it. People are not buying cryptos because of they don't want to touch dirty currency. They're buying them because they don't trust the central banks anymore. That's what it really comes down to. Daniel says, yeah, Doggie's even better, but no futures. I bought it from crypto exchange the only way. Yeah, I hear you. If you bought Ethereum in 2019 at $200, you would be way better than most, if not all, holders of gold, silver stocks that bought that in the 1970s at 1980. Right, yeah, well, I think what you're really seeing from that 2019 thing is they are making up. There's a self-adjustment that markets can do. There are times where markets... I'm going to talk about cloning for a second. It's the example that I want everybody to understand I see in the crypto market, why I've agreed with Wilco and everybody else, and I've been a big proponent of the cryptos now since the very beginning. Okay? I'm going to use Dolly the sheep as an example. It was one of the first cloned animals publicly. Okay? And what they found out was they cloned Dolly, and after a certain period of time, I think it was 2 years, all of a sudden her cells and her molecular structure started to advance in age. So they took Dolly the sheep, they cloned her, and for the first year and a half or so, it was a 1.5-year-old sheep. And then out of nowhere, I think Dolly was 7 or 8 years old, something like that. And then out of nowhere, all of a sudden the cells in that cloned sheep, Dolly 2 if you want to call it, all of a sudden they all advanced in age. And so when they started looking at taking blood tests and so forth, they found out that Dolly all of a sudden started to do advanced aging out of nowhere. Well, I think cryptocurrencies are the same exact way. I think that, you say 2019... I mean, I was buying, Bitcoin at 2018 at gas stations. You could buy them at a gas station. They had these machines where you could buy them. They are catching up to where they should be, mainly because metals traders, in particular, don't trust metals markets. And as much as they love metals and they've bought metals and they've been preaching metals and there's gold bugs and they bleed metal, and the end result is that they don't really invest in them as much anymore because the cryptos have grabbed those investors. And at the same time, institutions have started buying cryptos. I mean, I remember when Guggenheim, one of the biggest ones, jumped in back in, I want to say, September of last year, August of last year, and bought a little over half a billion, a little under half a billion. It was like 491 million. They bought Bitcoin at like between 16 and like 18 or 19 or something like that, and thousand. And then the next thing you know is, time goes on, and now Bitcoin has been to 65, so they've tripled their money. These are the same people at Guggenheim who liquidated a lot of, or not liquidated, but stopped investing in stocks in April or in March of last year at the low, and they didn't invest, and so they missed the move on the upside. So what you're seeing is that advancement like Dolly. Like all of a sudden, cryptos are legit, and then all of a sudden, the price explodes like as if they've been out there for 20 years, when in fact they haven't been. Okay, and that's what it really reminds me of. And financials, I've seen financials do this throughout my experience in the financial market over the last 40 some odd years. Markets will make up what's necessary. In other words, I'll give you another example. And this was in 1985. There was something called the Home Shopping Network. What they did is they started buying some cheap old television stations that no one was using. And what they did is they did their public offering on the American Stock Exchange. And they floated the stock at like, $18 a share. And by the end of the first week, the stock was trading at $87, which was a monster move back then. So they floated at like $17 or $22 a share. I forget what exactly it was. And by the end of the week, I knew the specialist over at the Amex, and he owned like 9 stock exchange seats. Well, by the end of that week, he was down to 2 of them. He'd had to sell 7 of them because he was getting his head handed to him. He couldn't buy any stock. So the following Monday, the stock opened up at like 112. And you say to yourself, now how can this happen? They priced it, the brokerage syndicate priced it at like, 17 or 22 or whatever it was, 26. They priced it there, and by the end of the week, it's 4 times more valuable. And then going into following Monday, it's even worse. It's exploding. What it was the beginning of the internet. We were all using the internet back then, more like T1 lines and things like that, and modems where it goes. You put a telephone into something, and your modem picks up the signal, and if it's not a fax, it's you're doing internet action with a bulletin board, that type of thing. It was the beginning of it. Home Shopping Network. Barry Diller in the end bought it for some crazy number, and it's a cornerstone to his whole investment structure. But it caught up out of nowhere. So in other words, one moment it's trading at nothing almost, and it's barely a public company, and the next 4 days later it's 4 times more valuable. 4 times more valuable. And it kept on climbing because what it was the future. Okay? People realized that this was the value of the future. And that's exactly what has happened with the cryptos. The cryptos are catching up to where they would belong if you owned them 10 years ago or 15 years ago. That's all they're doing. They're doing the natural infinity of doing what they're supposed to do, go up in value. Daniel says, yes, dog. Okay. Daniel says, if you bought Ethereum, okay, we looked at that one. Daniel says, even in 2020, Ethereum reached $80 to $100 in March on a dip. Oh, okay, that was the best opportunity to buy everything. Well, yeah, of course, in hindsight, yeah. Like I said, I was buying this stuff in a gas station. They had these, it was a convenience store, and they had a machine there where you could buy the cryptos at the time. You go up and you put money in it, and you get a crypto, and you get your code and the whole bit, and the wallet, and it was funny. So, yeah, I hear you. This is what is really going on here, is that the cryptos are catching up to where they should be if they had been an investment 20 years ago. That's what they're doing. They're pricing them for what their value should be. And it should make the central banks scared as all get out. Now, the only way the central banks, in particular the U.S. Federal Reserve, can keep everybody under control, and what I mean by everybody it's the major banks and institutions, is they're lending money overnight, every night, for free, billions of dollars to keep all these institutions in line. In other words, to keep them in the fold of the be part of the gang. They're part of the mob. If they step out of that, they get in trouble. And so that's where we really are. Cryptos are catching up to where they belong. That's what it comes down to. And when you say 10,000 for Ethereum, how many times have I said here that in 2006 or 2007, if you had described to me what 2008 or 2009 would look like financially, and then said, okay, Doc, where do you think gold should be if all this is going on, which it is now going on in reality, okay? I would say, gold should be between 5 and 10,000, just like your 4,000 and 10,000 statement. Gold should be there. Gold should be, if you would have said to me in 2005, 6, or 7, this is what I see. This is what the economy is going to look like, and this is what the central banks are going to be doing, and this is how people are going to be investing. What do you think gold should be? I would have said between 5 and 10,000, without a doubt. And so what are we seeing? We're seeing the cryptos accelerate to where they belong as if they have been in an investment for the last 40 or 50 years. That's exactly what we're seeing. That's exactly what we're seeing. It's like Dolly the sheep. That's what it is. All right. Or like the Home Shopping Network, how it exploded. And I mean, it tore everybody's head off, for a couple of weeks until everybody realized that, oh, this thing's not going to go away. Housewives and people at home during the day are going to shop. And then they're going to deliver this stuff to their house without them going out the door. Okay. Let's see. Daniel says Dow Jones and FTSEs are the best indexes right now. They have stochastics up and rising on both of them. Let's see what. Well, we can look at that here with the DOX stochastic play right there. Remember, I don't measure the high and low. I just look at the differential between the slow and the fast. So I do the spatial thing. So I do a totally different way of looking at the stochastic. So lows don't mean much to me. It's how they perform. Let's see what that is. Happy May Day to you and to all of you. Workers of the world, don't unite. That's what's happening, I guess. All right. Thank you, DC. Funny, huh? Nicole. Cool. All right. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at the FTSE. There's the FTSE right there. And as you can see, I think the all-time high is 9s or 10s, isn't it? So it is undervalued, I guess you could say. And you can see here, matter of fact, it's the stochastics here is broken down here, and it's just going sideways. And whereas here it went into a buy, here it went into a sell. So now let's take a look at it on a monthly basis just to see where the all-time high is. There it is right there. So the all-time high is obviously the high 8s, no, high 7s, okay. And then I think we go even further back, right? And you can see there's that might be, something big. I could have sworn it was in the teens at one time. I thought it was. I wonder if we can get a quarter. It doesn't show that. So we're near all-time highs, whereas on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we can show you that now. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is at all-time highs. It just keeps on climbing. Let's go like that, and we'll find the Dow 30 now, right there. Whereas this product, this stock index is at all-time highs. See, right there. See, it's there. We don't really make big moves. We're just steady for like the last couple of quarters. And we're a couple thousand points up higher, which is nice. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay, so Daniel says cryptos are a different thing. They have no, they're not. They're not a different thing. They're an asset class. They are what makes them normal is the ability to function separate from the central banks. Just the way gold did at one time. Now gold doesn't do that. The central banks control gold. See, they have that DeFi economy. They are way better than store value precious metals. Right, totally. They are even better than stocks. Well, I'd imagine they'll steady out. In other words, take a look at stocks 40 or 50 years ago and use that as a measuring tool for the cryptos. So in other words, the cryptos are going to catch up to where they belong. In other words, the cryptos belong on the same pathway as what the stocks were because they're a legitimate tool that's not going away. They're here to stay and they're not going away. And at the same time, as long as central banks like the Fed and everybody else are plowing billions and billions of dollars into the market overnight for free to all the institutions, it makes the cryptos even more valuable because it gives less confidence to a sector of the market that thinks, my God, if they're willing to lend billions of dollars overnight every night for free, what is wrong with our economy? What is wrong with our system? That's what it's saying. It's screaming it. It's like Chris Cornell's song, screaming at the top of her head. That's what it is. All right. Let's see. Metals. Let's see. Same thing, different between slow and fast stochastics. I think the spatial way of looking at the stochastics from slow to fast gives us an idea of what the action is. I think that's what it really comes down to. All right, let's zip back to the daily there. Right there. And stochastics looks best on the Dow. Yeah, well, the Dow's interesting. You got to figure, in some ways, it's cherry picked. So what you have is 23 stocks, is it, or 24 stocks in the old world that are the top of the top, the best of the best. And then you have 6 of the major NASDAQ stocks that are powering the world economy as we speak. So in other words, you have Apple and Intel and Microsoft right there alone. Those 3. Apple, the number 1 phone manufacturer in the world. Intel, number 1 chip manufacturer, in the world. Microsoft, the number 1 operating system in the world. Who else is in there? Cisco Systems, the number 1 networking company in the world. The wireless networking system. Let me think. Who else is in there? The only one it's not is a retailer, Workforce, that's not a tech. But in some aspects it is because it's like an Amazon. That's why there's serious talk of Amazon splitting its stock and moving into the Dow Jones Industrial Average at the 10-to-1 split. It's that type of action that we're seeing. So, but if you go and look at the stock market at 50 years ago, 40 years ago, or just go to Bretton Woods. Use Bretton Woods as a starting point. I used to have this discussion off and on in the Market Technicians Association, especially with Bob Prechter. He used to like to look back at, he used to look at the London market as the beginning of the U.S. market. So when he did his wave counts, he was looking at the London market, and then he jumped into the U.S. market as one whole market, And I used to say, well, why don't you just go back to Lady Jane or something like that? When she switched copper to silver or something like that, Well, in this case here, go to Bretton Woods, look at the stock market at Bretton Woods, This is a classic formula in my mind. Go to Bretton Woods, look at the stock market's value at that point, look where it's at now, take a look at the cryptos, and just pretend that it really started there. And see if it's under or overvalued to where it is now to the stocks. And if it's undervalued, that shows you how much more room it has to run. So in other words, look at the stock market in 1968, 69, say 68. Where was the Dow Jones? Here, let's take a look at the. Can we see where that is? I think the Dow Jones Industrial Average was at 700. Maybe 800. We could even round it out to 1,000. All right. And now the Dow Jones Industrial Average is at, what, 34,000, right? So it went up 34 times in value. So, the cryptos should basically be doing the same thing. They should be, like Bitcoin is where it belongs. It belongs in the 60s and the 50s. Ethereum is catching up. It belongs in the 4s and 5s. It probably belongs in the 10 area, because it's catching up. They're doing what Dolly, the genetically engineered sheep did. Its cells caught up over time. I have 963 with 533. 963 and 533 on stochastics. Okay, hot rolled coil steel, $1,500. Lumber, $1,600. I wish they had some CFDs on these brokers. Yeah, really, I hear you. Yeah, well, you can trade the futures contract, and you can trade options in the lumber. You can do that. All right, let's see, where are we at now? Let's jump over to, where we have up on our screen? Oh, yeah, we were looking at Palladium. See how Palladium is backing off since we put it up there? It's dropped, what did it do? It dropped $8, right? $9? See what I'm saying? My math is showing, where's that mouse at? The math is showing us that it can't sustain this at the moment. It means that there's more sellers out there in that. And what it'll do is it'll come down and challenge these lows, and then it gets into a buy, and we're in a weekly buy. Then they may they'll go after the numbers you're talking about. The 3,400 and that type of thing, or 36 in that area. It'll start to make that move and build a base up in here. But right now, as long as the daily is pushing into the sell, it tells us that the internal strength is not there. And due to the fact that we're in a weekly buy, which is, the positive thing, it says that don't worry, it's just a correction. That's what it's saying. Now, if we see the green line get through the time manifold here, the yellow time manifold, make that a little bit thicker. There we are. If the green line right there, let's see if we shrink it down again. If that gets through the time manifold and we start seeing some weakness, that might be a different story. But right now, it's still saying that there's buyers there. Gold and silver should be going up soon based on stochastics. I don't really watch stochastics the way you do. What do we have? Let's see what it looks like on the J4X, on the daily. On the way I look at it. Right there. So, we'll be able to see partially what you're looking at. Here it comes. Here comes the sun. Doo -doo -doo -doo. Well, it's coming off lows, that's for sure. I see that. You can see last time it came off lows and then corrected again. Seems to be trapped in that area there. Now let's see what silver looks like. Doo -doo 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 -doo. And here's silver. And there you are. There you can see the same thing coming off their lows. And we'll see how that, now this is curious. It ran up to here. Your stochastic thing started turning down, not differential, the relationship between the two, but just turning down what you're looking at now. And the product found a way to stay up and go higher, another 35-40%, and then you can see now it's even, it pretty much only took one day for it to leap up even bigger after making that bottom there. Just showing you the overbought, oversold of the way you look at the stochastic. Ta-da! See, we can look at the way you're looking at it, we just don't pay attention to that way. We just look at the difference. When it gets through here, or when it got through there, we know that there's weakness, and we know when it gets through here, it's strength, that's all. Same thing here. We know when it got through there was strength. And when it went through here, there was going to be some weakness. Now, it wasn't much, but it did your gig thing where it goes and makes a low. So that is the story. Okay. MACD crossed positive on both gold and silver. Yeah, you can see that there. Interesting when they correlate like that. But the real story, I think, Daniel, the real story is this right here. The stochastic got up to here, made a lower high, rolled over, started going down, and the product did not roll over and went up even higher. I think that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. And then it finally made a low here 4 days ago, making a lower low, breaking that low and that low, and then turning up and busting through the line right there saying, be long or be wrong. That's what that was screaming. Be long or be wrong. And sure enough, it was right. So again, spatial. Be the topological trader. Aha. All right. Where do we go from here, traders? Let's jump over to... You see, we did the metals complex. Then let's just take a quick look at the currencies again. I know I badmouth the currencies on some level there, but I still love them more than I love almost everything else. So bonds are the only thing that can even compete with the currencies. That's pretty much what it comes down to at this point when it comes to sheer volume and liquidity. You know, bonds are number one, currencies are number two. You know, crude oil is so far behind those two things. And then there's, then stocks are so teeny weeny little, noisy things. They're not even competitive to those things anymore. All right, let's jump over to the ruble. See what the ruble's up to. Right there. You see it tried to get into a buy and failed, and it's still in the sell. You see it's holding up that weekly sell thing. I guess the next thing we're going to do is see this low getting taken out by Mr. and Mrs. Ruble. And then the Yenski. No, not the yen. Yeah, the yen. There it is. It's the Polish Yenski. The yen is flirting with the daily sell, which is interesting. But then I guess when I look down on the weekly, it's not that interesting because it is having its issues. It's still in a weekly sell out of this whole move. That whole move has been in a weekly sell. So I mean, you knew not to be short here. You just weren't supposed to get long unless you bought, binaries or something like that, where you have a limited amount of risk factor there. South African Rand appreciating. Yes, we've been tuning into that. I like that. I like looking at the Rand at this particular time to see what the metals are doing compared to the Rand. And there it blows. There she blows. Right there, the dollar Rand. And dollar Rand's been lifting up, and it should be moving down if gold is moving down. We noticed, you see how Rand was going down when gold was moving up? Let's show you that. And we'll go like that. There it is right there. Or Palladium was moving up also. But there is the gold. And so at that same time period, gold was going up in value from March lows. And the Rand was topping out in the March highs. Right? Yeah, right there. And there's the March highs. So, they do, when the Rand is going down, the gold is going up in value. In this case here, you see the pressure on the Rand on the upside. We are flirting with a weekly buy, but not enough to be too scared at the moment, just that it's got through the time manifold right there. But you can see the daily today is putting pressure on it and trying to get into the sell there. We'll see what they do with that. Okay. Let's see, now, we can do that. Let's do this. Let's go over to the Rand on the J4X. Dollar Rand. There it is right there. Yeah, look at that. So it's zipping up in value for days and weeks, and gold has been having its. We'll put gold up. We'll put gold up on top, like this. So we'll be looking at gold on the Chicago Quant, and we'll be looking at the Rand on J4X. So you see here, kind of pressing in that direction. What do we got here? Got to insert the text there. There we go. All right, and so yeah, you can see here the Rand is lifting up, and you can see the choppiness in gold. Look at that; it was moving down until just a couple of days ago, and they gapped it up. So, yeah. And now gold is moving down and Rand is moving up again here. So yeah, it is a good tool to watch over that. let's see. Yeah, yen on stochastic is also bullish, meaning what? Yes. Let's see. Let's take a look at that on J4X. There it is, right there. Trying to roll over, but still holding up. But I would like to see it get into a. Is it a weekly bot? Where is it at now? That is line 18, 19, line 19. 3 weeks in a sell, and not moving into the buy at all. 7 days in a buy. Interesting. Let's see. Turkish bullish. Okay. Oh, we didn't do the Mexican peso. I like to do that too. Let's go to the Mexican peso. I think it was turning down again. I think that's what it was happening. We had a couple days of strength in it, and now it's turning down again. I think that's how it played out yesterday. Okay, today it's doing it. That's what it is. Let me just refresh that. There it is right there. So it's been in a buy for a bunch of days, and you can see it's flirting on the upside, but it's still in a minus on the weekly, as close as it is. And now you got the daily trying to turn down. So we could be seeing some weakness in there now. Let's put it up on the Chicago, not the Chicago quant, the J4X right there. There it is. And so you can see it there. Still lifting. It'll start to roll over. So you can see the white line, or the fast-moving stochastic, trying to top out. Turkish Lira clearly depreciating. That means dollar Turkish Lira, Euro Turkish Lira bullish also. Yes, and yen one. Yeah, I hear you. Good action there, that's for sure. All right, traders. What should we use as a title for this today? I think it's the cryptos. Crypto catching up to true value. Might be a little long, but let's see if we can fix that. All right. Happy trails to. Oh, yeah. I just looked over and saw that. Happy trails to you too. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our cyber trading friends. All right, traders, catch you tomorrow on pre-Friday. It's called Thursday. Ta-ta for now.